This is Tom's World Beer Tour, a podcast story featuring Tom Bowman and Tom Bradley. Now, crack one open and let the tour begin.
For those who like to catch us on video, Tom Bowman, half of Tom's World Beer Tour, just flipped me off.
You couldn't see it. You know
you
why?
You did it below the camera angle. Why? Why you're doing it again?
Maybe I am, maybe I'm not.
I don't even want to ask why you're flipping me off. Why are you doing it off camera?
So in my company, in my division.
You mean when I'm around you?
No. In my division where I work, my regular job, right?
Yes.
This is known as Sports Ops Aloha. I'll put it on the camera. Sports Ops Aloha, which means the receiver gets to choose what it means.
Well, you already gave me a 3-2-1 count leading into the show, so that wasn't the one.
No. This, if I flip you off, you can choose how to take it. Meaning, this is of in love, in happiness, in friendship, or hey man, what the hell?
Well, I know what it's F-U. Did you say F-U in love? F-U in friendship?
Yeah, sometimes.
F-U in,
yeah, sometimes.
What is that? What is that? Besides, I don't flip people off, but when I do, I was
old man style.
No. In the 70s, we didn't put up one finger like some big flagpole, like.
No, we did.
We went like this.
We did this thing like this.
No. You did. I'm older than you. We went like this. That's what it is.
We're too lazy to flip you off.
You know what this is.
That's
but
right.
in a court of law,
yeah.
I was only saying, hey, you, how are you? This doesn't say anything.
When I was like 4 or 5, I was in the back of my dad's car. No seatbelt, of course. It was like the 70s.
We're talking about flipping off people, and it brings up a story of you and your dad when you were 4 years old.
My dad's driving. I'm in the back of the car. I'm standing up on the seat looking out the back window because I'm like 4 or 5, and that's what you do, right? So my dad cut somebody off. I'm pretty sure it was his fault. And I look at the car behind me, and it's like an old, big, giant Buick. And this is what I see. The old man style. That big, long, just Johnny Cash.
Almost like if the taller you can get that middle finger, the more of the FU. And then the other guys would be like, oh, you got me.
Yeah. It's the infamous Johnny Cash. When you see that great Johnny Cash shot where Johnny's just got his finger up like that's what I saw.
I know. I mean, he's adamant with that one.
My mom's going to be so mad.
Did he walk? Was he getting on the stage or off the stage at Folsom Prison?
I think he was getting off when he did that.
Was it Folsom Prison? It wasn't really
it was
Folsom.
Folsom Prison. It was Folsom Prison.
Okay. And it was like that adamant, yeah, how about you? Let's talk about where we are today and what's going on with the World Beer Tour.
Sure.
This is a little bit of a tease of what we're going to find in a week and a half at my Missouri Beer Festival. I say mine. What I really mean is our Missouri Beer Festival. This is our 11th annual festival, and this year we moved it to this spot. Would you please tell people where we are?
We are at a beautiful place called Cooper's Landing, and also known as Cooper's Landing Campground, right? So you got that as well. I'm going to throw up, for those of you that are on the podcast, let Tom explain where we are. We're on the beautiful brown Missouri River.
The Missouri River is not unlike the Mississippi in that it is a mighty, long, and wide body of water.
Right.
So,
and those of you watching, that camera there is just on the expanse. We're literally right here on the river.
I don't even know what other rivers you compare it to in the United States. The Ohio, for sure.
Sure.
What else has the size?
The Mississippi's got.
Well, right, but I say that. And, of course, Missouri
yeah.
has both of them rolling through it. I've been to the headwaters of the Missouri River, and it really is quite a trip. And I did it on a motorcycle years ago, and it was very well worth it. The three creeks that come together and form the headwaters of the Missouri River. Here, I would never get in, wade in and fish, swim with the kids, throw a beach ball.
Oh, God, no.
This is a big body of water, and it's constantly moving.
It's moving. So if I go back, for those of you watching, and for those of you not, I'll explain it to you. That current is moving.
Oh, yeah.
Fast. And it doesn't, I mean, for those of you that have never been in a fast-moving river, you look and you go, oh, I could swim up against that. That's not moving very fast.
Good luck.
There's a reason why there's not a lot of people out there.
If that water grabbed your foot, and I've had this happen in a different river in Missouri, it'll yank you under, and you have no control over it at all. Plus, somebody walks on like, Daddy, look, there's a stick. It's like, no. That's a cottonwood stick attached to a cottonwood tree. There's a full tree floating down the river. It happens in bodies of water this large.
Right.
But it is beautiful.
And snakes and all sorts of other
There's some of that.
Yeah.
There is a bend in the river up here, and it gives you a sunset every evening that is to kill for. I mean, it's really, really wonderful. So Cooper's is this groovy hangout where you've got everybody doing food trucks, having all their beer and wine and drinks over here from the window. And then you got a stage right over here behind me. They got live music over here almost every night of the week, hanging out, and afternoons on the weekends. It's really a great spot. And as you said, also camping.
Yeah.
So we're going to bring Richard King on in a little bit, who ran a nightclub, truly a music groundbreaking nightclub for decades back in Columbia, Missouri. And for some crazy reason, sold that, got out of it, and then decided, why don't I have a venue that has live music? I don't, but we'll find out more from him.
Oh, once again, these are topics that you could be here from mid-Missouri like we are, and it will make sense. But you could be anywhere in the country, and the story's going to make sense because people get to a certain point in their life, and they go, you know what, I just want to do something different. I was in the corporate world, and now I'm going to go to India and weave blankets for a hobby.
God, that sounds great.
Worst analogy I probably could have pulled out of my ass.
I was in the corporate world, and now I'm going to open a goat farm.
Goat farm.
No, you don't like that one either?
I like both of them, actually. I think it's great.
I've been in the corporate world forever. I'm retiring. I'm going to open a photography studio where I send out a drone, and I capture stills and video.
That's the worst retirement hobby I've ever heard in my life. What kind of moron leaves a great government job and retires and invests a lot of money into a drone and then spends his free time with his friends figuring out how to use that drone?
Is he going to join us on the podcast?
That might be Chris.
Chris, come on over.
He who has no shifter.
Chris, come on
as
over.
we
here.
like to call him.
By the way, we're not into our conversational beer yet. It'll be coming up in a little bit.
we're
Right
not.
now, I'm just enjoying an old 63 from nearby Burr
That's
Oak,
right.
and you've got the same thing going on.
I do. I have an old 63. We like old 63. We've been to Burr Oak. This is what I like to call the craft Budweiser. Mm-hmm. It has a very the profile is very similar to Budweiser.
An American Pilsner that you'll recognize.
Says it right there on the can.
Old
American
63.
Pilsner.
Chris Kendrick, how are you, man? Wait a second. I got to give you some microphone over there. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us. And obviously, we're going to give you some crap because it's our show and we do what we want to do. But I have
And
to start
that's
off.
different from any other time?
Yeah, it is.
No, this is what happens when there's no
How about
mics.
a thank you for you coming out here and being a part of this? And you've taken some photos of us already on our little podcast tour. And thank you for what you've done.
I love doing it. It's like you said, it was an opportunity to get out and do something different. And so, I get out and shoot pictures.
Yeah.
Keep
Did you
me
hear
out
the
of trouble.
underlying tone there? It was an opportunity to get out.
Get out.
Gotta get out.
Get out. But it's different from what you've done throughout your life. You are officially retired, but you're doing this now. Are you making money at it? Do you want to make money
No,
at it?
I'm not making money at it.
I mean, we're not paying you, so I know that's not
Wait a minute, we're not making money on this either, so
Right, I
nobody
know,
else
I know.
should. Come on.
He's getting 10% of everything we earn.
Yeah, I mean, I can upload photos, and if you buy a photo and print it, then I make a little money out of that.
Yeah.
But no, it's not. This is.
But you do want to make money, don't you?
Well, yeah, I would like to earn a little bit of income to supplement my retirement income. That would be, awesome. But it's not my goal. My goal is really to have an activity that keeps me busy, keeps me, gets me out of the house, and just keeps me motivated to go do something.
And it's more real than just collecting stamps or something like that. I mean, this is actually getting out, working with people, and doing this. And at some point, you decided taking photos was also going to require you possibly flying a drone, and that meant a commercial license for a drone.
Yeah, when I was planning my retirement, I knew I wanted to get into photography, and I knew that I wanted to incorporate aerial photography into that. I spoke to you, I think, right after I retired, and kind of the things we talked about was I had an interest in maybe doing real estate, and and Tom kind of did the same thing. It's like, yeah, it's probably not a good idea, and I appreciate, it was awesome advice. And I haven't really ventured into that. I've had a few opportunities to shoot it, but with the pandemic and then what the real estate market is doing anymore, I mean, all photographers are really seeing this across the board. You can't shoot a property and get it processed in time before the house already sells.
They're moving so fast.
They're moving so fast.
There's so many real estate agents that made a killing over the last 13, 14 months that people are going, hey, you should have listened. You should have not listened to Tom, and you should have made your killing. The problem is the market is flooded with agents. And to get up above the actual wave, to get up in front of that thing, is tough to do. And for those who are already selling homes when everything went gangbusters, good for them, and they made a killing over a year. What happens in the next 2 to 3 years for them, I don't know.
But don't leave your corporate America job and go become a realtor right now.
I mean, unless you want to work the weekends, hanging around open houses, that kind of thing. What I gave you some other advice too, and I don't want to go into all of it. Did you find some of it to be helpful and some of it to be bullshit? Or I mean, seriously.
Can we vote?
Yeah.
You weren't there. You weren't there.
No, can he tell us the options and we can vote on which ones were bullshit?
That's fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah. No, it wasn't bullshit. It was, yeah, it was good. I mean, the key thing you told me was, to not really, to really find used equipment, which was invaluable, because to go out and buy all new equipment, brand new, it's like buying anything new. As soon as you unwrap it and use it, then you've lost, a significant amount of money in it. So, and I really appreciated that. That kind of really made me get out and scour, websites and try to find used equipment as best as I could. Some things I did have to buy new, and it is what it is.
Wait, so you mean you're gonna in a little bit you're gonna put a used drone up in the air?
Yeah, yeah. The drone I bought.
You ever buy a used car, Mr. Bradley?
Many used cars. Look, there's a time and a place that if you got the money and you're having fun with it, and you want to buy new, go ahead and buy new. I don't buy used clothing. I don't feel right about that. But this board, Tom, has been used. This Mackie has been used how many times by how many different people?
So much that when they gave it to me, they didn't care if I brought it back.
Yeah. I've got speakers. I've got processors. I mean, all these headsets were brand new, but that made sense. But a lot of the stuff that I've done, if I can get it used, I do buy it used. Yeah. And especially if it's something that can last for, multiple users for many years. So I did. And I also told you that when you're first getting started, to not put as much money out there as somebody that's already rolling. It's a whole different feeling. Yeah. But a lot of the people that have a business, they've been running for 20 years, they hate spending money. I know, because I do.
Yeah. I mean, the photographers that I network with now, I mean, they're still, looking for any opportunity to save money, because, I mean, that's it. The bottom line is you're trying to make, as much as you can with what you're doing. And, if you're investing all kinds of money in equipment up front, then, you're just not going to make as much in that.
I know there's something in the eye of the photographer, right?
But we saw it as we were setting up the show today.
Yeah, he became our art director here at our picnic table.
We have completely moved. What you're seeing, if you're watching this right now as a video, what you're seeing now is the exact opposite of what we originally had.
Chris has a gentle way. He's like, what I might do is kind of like this.
If it was me,
you got to move it around like this. But I think you have that eye. You got to have the equipment also. But what I've seen you shooting us, and I told Deb this last week, I said, I hate posed pictures. I can't stand them anymore with my family doing it. I can't stand it. You take shots of us in action, and it looks real to me.
I also try to change the perspective. A lot of times, a lot of photographers, not photographers, it's a lot of times when you see photos, it's, somebody standing, straight up where they're at, and that's what they shoot. So it's always the shooter's eye level, the photographer's eye level, and then, if they're down or up, then that's a perspective you get. Seems like I'm getting a lot more attention or a lot more interest, if I change the perspective. And that's kind of what I try to do with you guys, is that I try to get the cameras up and down to where, it's a different angle, and that generates, a lot of interest, and the same thing with the drone. A lot of people will just shoot the drone up as high as they can go and take a shot. Well, that's been done. Mm-hmm. You want to try to find an interesting angle that, people typically don't see. Yeah.
And you're going to send this drone up over the Missouri River.
Yeah, sure.
So he did this yesterday. So Monday, we were running a little test to make sure how we could get this on the show, what's the best way to get the video on and all that. So in my neighborhood, in my backyard, Chris put the drone down, fired it up, put it 314 feet in the air above my neighborhood, and it just hovered there. And then he came back into the screen porch like, yeah, it'll be fine. It's 314 feet above my neighborhood. It's fine. And we're just looking at the camera on his controller. He's not outside looking at the drone. Trust.
Well, I wasn't supposed to be doing that, to be honest, but yeah.
Oh, so now I've got your license
happen.
pulled?
That was a
that
stupid
never
story
happened.
you
that
told.
That was the worst thing ever.
Never, ever
He never
happens.
once did we have a debrief before the show that says, hey, man.
I maintained visual line of sight the whole time.
I'll tell you one thing. I offered him, as soon as he got here, I was like, let me get you a beer, pal. Let me get you a beer,
Told
buddy.
me the same thing. I can't do that.
He said, I can't. Within 8 hours of flying, I can't have had a drink. It's like you're flying for Southwest here or something.
Well,
they take it serious.
They do. If anybody's interested in learning more about drones, the FAA does have a really robust website, a lot of resources, and they really write it in a way, they post content in a way that really encourages you to take an interest in the rules, take an interest on how to be a responsible drone, pilot. They call us pilots.
What are you, a spokesperson for
yeah,
the FAA?
No, I'm not.
Jeez, what are you, narc?
I thought I knew
narc.
I know what the F in FAA.
I was in government, so yeah.
That's right. So let me ask you this, because you've been flying drones for a while. Doug, the handsome bass player that we know flies drones. Who needs a license? Who doesn't need a license? Because obviously some 12-year-old kid that gets a drone for Christmas doesn't need a license to go fly that drone. Or am I wrong?
Well,
And,
depends.
and likely.
It depends what drone it is, right?
No, it's not an issue of the drone. I mean, I can drone on and on about this if you want.
You know,
But you've been waiting all day to use that one?
all
Kinda,
day.
yeah.
He's retired, dude. He had nothing else to do today. He sat in his easy chair all day looking at the clock going, oh, in 3 hours I get to use this joke. In 2 hours I get to use this joke.
Well,
No,
you know,
but
I'm not as loquacious as Kimball, you know, so it takes him a while to kind of, you know, figure
Oh,
out these
shit.
things.
If he shows up here today, I'm telling you right now.
No, we're not going to have that. So
Anyway, so to your question, so the rule is that if you are purely flying for pleasure only, you know, your use, recreational use only, so
Yeah.
you just want to go up and take photos or make videos, then you do not need a license for that. The moment that you give, you know, the content, the media to somebody in lieu of something, even as a favor, you know, so, you know, if I'm shooting something here for Richard.
money, drugs, sex, these things.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Beer. you know,
Pleasure.
Beer.
He said
Beer.
he said that earlier.
Yeah, I
Pleasure.
know. You got
Pleasure.
it right.
Yeah. Yeah, so if I'm shooting for a beer, then that's a license. Then that's where I kind of need to have, that's where you need to have a license. So,
Okay.
so anytime that you are giving your content away to somebody, you know, even a church.
For consideration. That it's
For
gonna have to
consideration.
happen.
You know, an example was, I was
Is that
talking,
because you don't want to lose your amateur drone status? Is that what we're talking about? Once you get paid, you're no longer an amateur?
it's not a, I guess I'm not really sure how to answer that. It's not really an amateur status. It's the FAA says basically that if you are providing if you're flying the drone for somebody, doesn't matter what, then that requires a certificate.
I think on a serious note, I think they came up with a loophole that made sense for them, a noose hole, if you will, to wrangle some people in and say, okay, from this, it's one thing for you to fly a little drone around your backyard. That's not a big deal.
Go to
You're
some
going to go
open
out there
field.
commercial with this thing, you're going to have a new license. When the fact of the matter is there's not a lot of difference between a lot of that, correct?
Right.
But there is a lot of difference between flying in your backyard and having a license because you've learned so much.
Yeah.
And you're running under regulations. You could fly a drone in your backyard and drink beer all day long while you're doing it, correct? Not you, but someone without a license.
No, even for recreational, they
I
still
mean, like
say,
a $5 helicopter thing you take up and down.
Yeah, no, they still say, you know, that.
Well,
you know,
I just still
period.
the FAA knows. I
Narc,
do it
yeah.
all the time. I
Narc,
drink beer and I
narc,
fly that thing. Yeah,
narc,
yeah, what's
narc.
going on?
I'm telling you.
All right,
So, yeah,
you're going to fly this thing up there.
Yeah.
All right, what's going to happen now? How does this look to somebody watching?
Well,
our
it's gonna be here in a little bit. We're gonna take Chris off camera,
Yes.
and then you and I are gonna bring on Richard. We're gonna do conversational beer, and then he's gonna set up a screen over here. And I'm basically, when we're ready to fly, I'm gonna take a camera and point it at a big giant screen. So
And we'll be able to see what's
we'll
happening.
be able to see exactly what he's saying. And
Okay.
I think he's got
All
the VR goggles that he wants you to try.
I don't want to try that. I will fall off of this picnic table.
God, I want to see that.
I
so
don't-
wanna see that.
And by the way,
kinda
I got a problem with heights ever since I jumped out of a
Oh,
plane.
But you're not going
Perfect.
anywhere. You're right there.
Not if I got the VR goggles on and he's flying that thing
But
1,000 feet in the air.
if you take your feet and you feel the gravel, you haven't left the ground.
I'm not doing it.
I so want to see this.
50
how,
bucks.
How much? How
50.
much to see this? $50 to see it?
Before he gets away from the camera, tell me right now, Tom, can you see the beer cans over my shoulder?
I can.
Okay.
I can.
He set those up. He said you got to
Art
put beer
director.
cans.
Listen,
Art director.
before he ever got here today, he had two distinct nicknames, right?
Right.
As long as we've known him. We ride
Right.
motorcycles together. So
Christie's
the
bitch.
now he's got three.
Okay. All
So
right.
there's Christie's bitch. There's he who has no shifter.
Don't go into the store. We don't
Not
have
going
time.
to. And then there's the older male model.
Oh yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
he's a handsome man.
Oh,
Now
this
he's cut his hair. He's cut the goatee a little bit.
yeah,
He's
you
got
need
some.
to bring it back just a little
He's
bit.
got some ink. That when you think about opening up a catalog for someone who's in their 50s, who's
And
gonna-
it shows a retirement village in Florida where you can golf, play
Well, you know,
tennis, and grill on the back
That's
patio.
right.
We talked about
This is where the happening
pharmaceuticals.
So this is the guy that would show you, hey, at my
Bookerang.
age, I look good, I get laid, and I can lay others because I take
yeah,
this
he's
product.
in he's in
It's a
one. Of,
Bookerang, wasn't it?
What was it?
It's a Bookerang?
We made up our own
that's
Zabuka
right.
ring.
He's in a metal trough,
Right.
holding hands with his partner, but he's looking back at the camera like,
Yep. I'm still getting it done. You're a good-looking guy.
Well, thank you.
I'm not going to take it away from you when you were younger.
I
but
dressed.
when
I did shave for you today.
But when you
so-
became the Silver Fox, it was like you brought in a whole new
oh, there's five
mystique.
nicknames. Now there's five nicknames.
Yeah. The Silver Fox?
That's right.
Yeah. All right, listen. We're gonna take the next step away from here. So you're gonna move away.
Alrighty.
All right.
You gonna pop me down?
Thank you.
Pot you down. See, now he's taken over.
And he's got the
First of all,
terms.
he took over my side of the show.
He even knows the
in the
friggin'
art
lingo.
direction. Now he's taken over your side of the show.
I know.
On the audio side.
I'm gonna fetch these beers.
Please fetch.
And I'm gonna ask Richard to come join us at this time.
Please fetch.
How much time do you need before we reshift anything around? Because
We're not shifting anything right now because
All right.
Richard's going to sit right there.
All right.
While
Richard King,
we're
come
waiting
on
on
over.
Richard King, I will tell you, little housekeeping.
Yes.
Do not forget that while some of you are watching this right now on our Facebook page or on YouTube, on Facebook, it's not enough just to watch. Please go up, click follow, so that you're notified every time we put out one of these great videos.
And send us a check.
Every time you check
I
that
just
box,
keep- I
we
keep
take money
trying-
out of your Facebook account.
I keep trying to think, how are we going to get to the point that you and I actually can make money?
Yeah, I haven't
from
figured that
this,
part out
and I
yet.
just
Thank
want
God we both have jobs that pay
to be able
us.
to do what we can.
So there's that. And then, of course, as a podcast, you can't always watch us on Facebook. So sometimes you're on the road and you need a good hour to keep you company. Wherever you download podcasts, listen to podcasts, go to that, subscribe, look up Tom's World Beer Tour, hit subscribe. Every Thursday morning on the weeks that we do a show, you're going to see one there. Little programming reminder, there will be a show next week. There will not be a show the week after. We'll remind you next week.
Well, and that was something we had to make a decision on.
We did.
You are coming over here. Did he think we were going to just have
don't know.
a boom mic over to him?
I mean, he's going to be in your shot for a second, so there's a preview, and then he's going to come sit down, and then once he's comfortable, I'm going to bring his camera
that's
up.
fine. I want a quick hit on the deal going on for that. You're going to be in California.
I am.
2 weeks from tonight.
Yeah, I'm back at Barbecue. So Barbecue Matt was here with us last week,
And you'll be hanging out with
and
him.
I'm going to go out there, and we just thought, first of all,
We decided it was
That's
time
too
for a
much
break.
Matt.
And
Too much
also,
Matt.
that's the Wednesday after the Missouri Beer Festival, as you see with the hat that I'm wearing
Yes,
and that
yes,
Chris
yes,
was wearing
yes.
this evening. And Missouri Beer Festival is being held a week from this coming Saturday, June 19th, at Cooper's Landing, which is where we're
Right
doing the
here.
podcast right now.
Right here.
So I think we need a break that Wednesday. So we've decided you're going to be in California. We're going to take the day off, and we'll come back around the next,
Right.
and that will put us into damn near July, close
I'll
to
be
it.
back. Yeah, the last week of June we'll do it. Now I think I might shoot a couple of little tiny vignettes.
Yeah.
Like just me and Matt, if we grill something cool or something like that, I might post those up on our page just so people have something to go and look
You
at.
want me to do some vignettes on
I
my
think
side?
I would love for you to do
I'll
some
just drink a
vignettes.
beer. It's a world beer tour, and I'll just sit there and drink a beer. I'm going to go ahead and hit our all-important transitional tune to get us into our conversational beer. As Richard King is joining us now from Cooper's Landing, would you pass this down to Big Gender down here?
Big Gender.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate
You bet.
that.
And here's one for you,
And
Richard.
this one's for me. Well, thank
And
you
here's
very
one
much.
as well. Now, this is really important as we have this.
The crack.
Because Burr Oak Brewing actually made a beer for your spot, Cooper's Landing.
They did.
That's pretty
And it's
freaking awesome.
And it's a damn good beer too.
Well, that helps.
We're going to
Yes.
find out about that.
I like
right
that
now.
Richard said, the can looks amazing, and it kind of tastes good too.
I'm going into this. It is an IPA, and thank you, Burr Oak, for doing that. Did you ask them to do this, or did they come to you?
Actually, they approached me and wanted to do it.
Man, that's good.
Yeah, there was a the Burrow guys did the Cooper's Landing, and then the Sudworks guys did Katy Trail beer too.
Like
so-
that
Now
Hyman
that's
Junction
pretty
one.
funny because we're familiar with our friends at Burrow,
Yeah, we are.
as well
Yeah.
as our friends at Sudworks from Davis, California,
Yeah,
where I will
yeah.
be in 2 weeks from today, 10 minutes from, and I'm going to go visit them. as a
Oh,
matter
you
of
got to
You'll
go
have a
visit
beer
them.
over there. You'll
They're
have
good
a beer.
guys. And good beer too.
Are you out here every day working?
Yeah.
I've seen you out here a lot.
My manager was on vacation.
Michael.
Excuse me, on vacation since last Friday. So I've been here pretty much every single day. And you know what? I've decided that I really like being here every single day.
Do you really?
Oh God! In the morning, I come down here at 8 or 9 in the morning. I can get a lot done sitting underneath the sycamore
Wait, you
tree.
don't sleep in this room that's above behind me up here that people can see on the camera?
You might catch me down in the glamping tent
Yeah.
for a night,
The glamping
but
tent.
I haven't ventured up there. It's rented out. That's why. But so I come down here in the mornings. It's perfectly still except for birds chirping and a few fish jumping out of the river.
Yeah.
An occasional barge going up the river. So that's pretty great little office space.
Let
you
me
know?
let me tell you about it. A few weeks back, I'm over here having a get together with Richard and with
Cheers.
Michael. Cheers.
Cheers.
And we're over here chatting at one of the other and I saw a barge coming down the river, and it's pretty cool for me. I grew up with barges on both the Missouri and the Mississippi River, and walking in the muck down here. I've done it since I was a kid. I've loved it, and I'm watching it come around. It was behind you. And it was a really interesting thing. He didn't let out a horn or anything. I think maybe you heard the engine coming around, and you turned around. And you're like, oh goodness! And you wanted to see it. And I said, don't you see these all the time? You're like, well, not often enough. It's still a big deal for you.
It's a big deal.
Why? Like, what is it?
Well, just the amount of power that those things are cranking out when they when they're coming up or down.
Yeah.
But also, I'm not used to being on the river. I've been here, at
Couple of
Cooper's
years.
for a couple of years, and one year we were underwater, so there was no barges coming up and down. But I'm still got that little kid thing in me, and when I see a train, I also will run and say, "Oh wow, look at that!" That's
I think it's so cool. I want to explain this for people that don't know Richard King. Obviously, we have a lot of listeners in our area.
I need a little backstory because once again, this is what translates across the country. Somebody who this is not what you've been doing your whole career.
Oh no, not at
right?
all.
And
No.
so that translates to somebody who's in California or Wisconsin or whatever. It's like, how the hell did you get here?
In any kind of a reasonable sized city that has a little bit of an eclectic feel and possibly exploring things like the roots of art, maybe music, you're probably going to find a venue with a person like the Blue Note had with Richard King. Richard King owned and ran the Blue Note for, I don't even know, was it 3+ decades?
34 years.
It's an amazing venue. It just is. It's also next to our favorite restaurant.
Yeah,
44
it still exists.
Yes.
You
It's still
sold it off a couple of years ago, but tell us about the origins of you deciding to open a music venue bar like that brings in both major acts and up-and-coming shows. And
Well, it all starts with Phil and I thinking we were the smartest guys in town, and we weren't. But we felt as though we could contribute to the music scene in mid-Missouri, and there were good places that were open and having great shows. But we just wanted to, we thought with all these students, there was this thing going on in the early '80s. Right when MTV came about, there was a lot of new kind of alternative bands, is what they call them. So we wanted to zero in on that. And we also had a great relationship with some folks that did blues programming around here. In fact, I got my education from a gentleman by the name of Bill Wax, who was the general manager of KOPN back when we opened up the Blue
that's
Note.
a public station.
The public station, and he introduced me to Coco Taylor and John Lee Hooker. And Sun Seals and Albert Collins and
Wait, so all the you didn't grow up cutting your teeth on all that stuff. It was later as
it was
an adult.
later. Yeah. Well, I mean, I loved music, and
Sure.
and when we were growing up, I grew up in the '60s, so I
you
dare
grew up
anybody
in
to
a
top
great
that.
era.
It's an unbelievable era.
What do you got, bitch? What do you got?
Exactly what it is.
Well,
he kind of came across the table there for a
It
second.
really
did.
did.
You see that?
It did.
But it was an incredible time, and I was 13, 14, 15 years old during that time period. So, I was 2 hours from Woodstock, where I grew up.
Wow.
And I went and I asked my mom if I go to Woodstock. I
Don't
could
ask
go.
your mom. Never ask
No,
your mom.
no.
She said no. You got to
Yeah.
work tomorrow.
Beg for forgiveness. Beg
So-
for forgiveness.
So
You got to work
So
tomorrow.
I didn't go. Yeah, I didn't go.
Yeah, I got to work tomorrow. I got to work on some rock and roll at Woodstock.
That's right.
No, there's in all the decades, and they all have something you can point out. But the '60s, there was it was the late '60s especially. There was an eruption of music that will never be rivaled.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. It really was, and there was all genres. I mean, you can start with the Beatles if you want, and that would be a good place to start. But then you're talking about just that influx of British bands. But
Oh my gosh, you got the Stones. You got so many
Yeah.
great bands that came.
you all
rolling
that,
through.
but then all of a sudden, Diana Ross comes along and Stevie Wonder comes along.
Oh,
Elton
yeah.
John came along.
And Elton John. So you were hearing these things when you're, in those years, like 15, you're in high school. It's like, whoa. And you would hear all of that on AM radio back in those days.
Yeah.
So
And so many of these, a wide variety of
Yeah.
acts made the same top 40.
Yes.
They were all on there. I listen to some of Casey Kasem's crap right now from like 70 and 71.
It's a
Dude,
great,
it's
a
Led
great channel on
Zeppelin.
Sirius, man.
It's Led Zeppelin followed by Diana Ross and the Supremes. It's the most amazing thing. You're like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I
Yeah.
can't believe they were sharing the
and
charts
if you're lucky,
together.
you might get a Dead Dog dedication.
But how do you, how do you go from, obviously you experienced that, but a lot of millions and millions of people did. and eventually someday you open a club where you're bringing in acts that might have a hint of success in the future.
Well, I can tell you this: I was never much of an academic. So,
Okay, all right.
so
Well, you're at the right table.
So, okay, good. We're good company here.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, I liked music. We always liked music. That was something that affected me, you know, in my youth. And when I had the opportunity here, when I moved here, we would go see shows, and myself and Phil would always talk about, wow, what if we did this and this? And the opportunity came up, and we just jumped on it. You know, we had to
You
beg,
mentioned-
borrow, and steal to get it open.
You
but
mentioned Phil. It's Phil Costello.
Yes.
And he went on and had a full career in the music industry and records.
still out there, yeah.
Still out there.
Yeah. But he and I.
And you're sitting in a van by the river. No.
Hey, you know what?
Literally in a van
Hey.
down by the river.
So we still are great friends, and
Yeah.
we communicate all the time. And I told him about this, and he was just like, "Oh, that sounds," because he's about to retire out in L.A.
And now he's jealous of you.
Is he looking for a place on a river in L.A.?
And well,
The L.A. River is not someplace you want to hang
No.
out. I'm just telling you right now.
he has some buddies that had a place up on the Russian River, and
That's where the nudist beach is, by the way.
Oh,
I grew up in Northern California. I know
Oh, you did?
exactly
Oh,
where the
okay.
Russian River is,
Okay.
and which part my dad said you can't go around the bend,
He said, I'm going.
and we went around the bend.
But is he going to maybe do something up there?
No, he was telling me about these friends, and you know, when I first took this over, I had the grandiose plans, of course, to do like all trailers, like what do you call it, the silver? What are those things?
The Airstreams.
Airstreams.
Yeah.
So I was wanting to do an Airstream thing. Then I discovered they're really, really, really expensive.
Oh,
if
and
you
people
wanna
flip
go.
them.
You mean-
My stepsister's, my half sister's husband. That's what he does for a living.
He flips them?
Flips
he
them.
flips
Yeah.
Airstreams.
Yeah.
He goes all over the country and
Yeah.
finds them and brings them back to Northern California and rehabs them and gets them ready and turns them for a huge profit.
So you were thinking about you'd put like 40 of them out here.
Well,
and
not
they're
40,
like,
but yeah, and then just do an Airbnb Airstream.
that's
which-
actually a really cool
I
idea.
know, which is what his buddies were doing up on the Russian River.
Right.
And he said they were nonstop. They were full. They were
Wow.
overbooked and stuff.
Well, they
like that.
harken back to a time
Oh, yeah.
when Airstreams were big, and now all of a sudden that stuff's come back. Avocado color in your kitchen, all
Yeah.
sorts of other weird stuff, and Airstream trailers.
Have you looked at the price of a new Airstream these
Oh,
days?
I have.
Yeah. So anyway, it was all my sort of dreams at that point were shattered when this thing right here behind me said, "I'm coming at you."
Come to the river.
So everything changed. And
Oh,
then
you mean when it started rising?
when it started rising, everything changed.
Yeah.
I mean, it flooded. We were underwater for 2 months. We had
Dude, you
another
bought
month.
this. It was announced, and I think it was just a month and a half later the water
No,
started.
it was a little longer because didn't you? This stage that's by Tom had already been built, right? When it flooded?
Gentlemen, let me correct you.
Okay,
Oh,
okay,
please.
here we go.
It
Here we
was-
go.
I hate when the guest is right.
I know.
They're the worst.
It was 3 days after I bought
Oh,
it.
shit.
Well, I know it was fast, and I thought to myself,
I knew you'd like to hear that piece
Oh,
of
my God. But some
information.
of this stuff, because there's been some, let's be honest, I've lived out here for 14 years. I've lived in this part of the country.
Uh-huh.
And when I first came down to Cooper's Landing 14 years ago, it didn't look like this.
Yeah,
It looked a little like this.
Yeah.
Right, but
Yeah.
it didn't have this cool stage. You didn't shore up some of this stuff. It looked a little different. There was less
you've
concrete.
done a nice job with it. But
It's phenomenal.
But
But
you
yeah.
bought it, and the water started rising.
Yeah.
Did you go to the church and say, "What the fuck, God"?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I
Well,
sold the
let
balloon.
me let
all right.
let me say this though about that, and I've had 2 years and I've recovered and I feel really good about what's going on now, but I say this to people. There was a silver lining, so to speak, in that giant cloud that parked its butt over the Midwest. And a lot of the things that needed to go away from here either went down the river,
Somebody else's problem.
somebody else's problem, or they had to pack up and leave.
So how many of those things with out here were you assisting with that like, well, this doesn't need to stay here. This is going to Jeff City.
No,
Here
I
you
don't-
go.
Well-
I don't know that all those things were things.
Well,
I think there might have been some families that moved on,
right.
and it was time.
Well, there is one, and I'm sure David Wilson wouldn't mind if I had brought up this story. He had a houseboat sitting right over there, and it had been here forever, and it was not working. It was sitting there, and he called me up a couple of months before it was announced that I was purchasing, and he said, "Hey," he goes, "I got a houseboat down there. David and I are good buddies. He did ragtag. He started it at the Blue Note, as a matter of fact, and I go, David, I go, you asking me if I want that houseboat? He's like, yeah, do you like have any use for it? And I said, no, David, I really don't. I just don't. Sorry, bud, I just don't. I go, but look, I'm in no hurry to get it out of there. You figure out what you have to do. I'm not, there's bigger fish to fry down here than that. So then, of course, I bought, and then, of course, the river came up, and the boat was basically in water.
Oh my God!
The
Right.
boats float.
True.
So it's up on a trailer that's what 4 or 5 feet above the ground.
It wasn't even that high. But so I called up David. I said, David, would I be doing you a favor if I just took my foot and gave that guy a little push? And there it went.
Oh, sweet Lord. That's amazing.
Is it in the Gulf right now? Where the hell is that thing?
No. He said no.
Oh.
And he did the right thing by saying no. So I
Your
said,
foot was on it when you asked him.
my foot was on it. And he laughed and he thought, well,
Yeah,
maybe,
he did think about
maybe it's a good idea. But the only thing that really cost me a lot of money that went down the river was the dumpster. And
They're valuable.
they're valuable, right?
Yeah, they
and the guy who owned the dumpster offered to come and take it out of here before the water came up. And they said, "Oh no, don't worry. I'm just new to this.
Yeah, it's so heavy.
Yeah,
That thing can't.
It ain't
gonna
go anywhere. Well, the last time it was spotted was in Washington, Missouri.
Which is really far from here.
That's far,
It's far.
So I tried to wiggle out of paying
we
for the dumpster
because we saw a bunch of Burrow beer cans inside the dumpster.
So I talked to the dumpster guy and I said, "Look, is there any way? I got a great idea. I got a great marketing plan. Let's do every Memorial Day dumpster races on the Missouri River."
Oh my God!
Nice.
I swear to
Let
God.
me ask you.
He
a question.
laughed, but
I
he
swear
said,
to
"No, we're
God,
not doing that."
Your dumpster guy, he's not one of these guys, right? This little sideways nose guys. You're not dealing with that kind of dumpster guy, are you?
Yeah,
No,
who knows? Who knows on that?
My guy's a good guy.
You guys have done a great job with this
Oh, thank
spot. You really have, and you've taken what was
beautiful down
was
here.
already a great location, and you made it a lot better. We've got our beer festival coming up in here a week and a half from now, and I got the credit where it's due, and that would be to my buddy the Italian Stallion, Adam Marinello from Boulevard, that said, "Hey man, would you think about moving your beer festival outside, and would you think about taking it to Cooper's Landing?" And I was like, wow. And I called, I'll just throw out his name and nothing more, a friend that we both know and have worked with a long time, Joe Priestmeyer. I said, what would you think? I first went to my
First
family.
of all, fans of this podcast.
Okay, so
no Joe.
The
We've had
truth
Joe
is
on.
coming out here now. Okay.
Yeah, I did.
No one's watching. These cameras aren't live.
That's true.
Okay, all right.
I
confessional.
talked to my family first, and I said, what would you guys think about going to Cooper's Landing?
Right.
And they were very positive about it. Then I went to Joe, and I said, I'm considering this, and the work you've done with our event in the past is very deep, and I consider your opinion to be worthwhile. What do you think? And he came back and he said, you work out the logistics, but the feeling is ultra cool. I think you should do it. And so we have worked out the logistics to make it happen, and I'm real excited to be here with the festival. I think it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun.
Oh, I think it's going to be awesome. I don't think you could get a better sort of backdrop for a beer festival than this little scene down here. And, now that, even though COVID is sort of on its way out, you didn't have to worry about that by having it outside. And,
yeah, it helped.
And doing all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
so,
and you got to buy a whole lot of tents.
And we got some tents.
And, one other thing about us folks down here at Cooper's, we love beer.
Yeah.
We really like beer.
Oh,
yeah.
As you know, Mike is a beer nut.
The number of beers you've got, craft beers inside right now, must number 25. It's a hell of a selection in there.
I challenge anybody. It really is a great selection of beer. I mean, we don't have it on tap, but everything is in can. But it's all the way we move it. It's so fresh. It's good stuff.
Let's talk
Beer.
about music again a little bit, and bring
Sure.
us back to Cooper's Landing.
Sure.
Cooper's Landing, you're bringing out local acts mostly, or anything touring?
Well, here's the way I wanted to start it out. I really, one of the opportunities that was okay when I owned the Blue Note and Mojo's Rose now is I didn't have as much of a chance to work with local music as I'd like to.
Right. But you brought in, I will say this, you brought in some acts that are amazingly large now. The Chili Peppers when they were young, the Foo Fighters when they were young. I mean, you've brought some bands through a place like Columbia, Missouri, and a smaller venue that are unbelievably large bands right now.
Arcade Fire played at Mojo's.
Correct.
Yes. Okay. There's been a bunch of that kind of
Phenomenal.
stuff, But
at Mojo's, not at Rose Music Hall. At Mojo's. Inside
the box. Inside.
But inside means how many people can you fit in there? I don't even know.
Well,
we'll talk to the fire marshal first.
We don't want to. Let's not go there. Okay?
What does the fire marshal?
Narc.
What does the fire marshal say you can have in there?
I think he gave us inside like 125.
Oh, that's very generous.
Maybe.
Wow.
Maybe.
I've been in there.
Maybe not.
I've been in there on a hot night.
But
That's
if you take the tables and chairs out, which is what we would do,
yeah,
you can actually.
That's amazing.
So, but the great thing was, the Arcade Fire show, that record was on fire. It was huge.
No pun intended.
That I didn't.
I know.
Yeah,
It's all right.
I swear to God.
You're a music guy. We'll give you leeway. It's fine. It's
So
fine.
anyway, that record is just unbelievable, and we put it on sale. The show was the Monday after Thanksgiving, which is typically a Monday,
Right.
and it sold out like a month, 2 months in advance.
It's unbelievable.
And I called his agent up, and the Blue Note was empty that night. I called him up. I said, "Hey, Botch, why don't we just move this thing up to the Blue Note? The phones are ringing off the hook. Everybody I know is calling me, blah, blah, blah." He goes, "Nope." I go, "Why not?" He goes, "I want a stamp sold out on every single one of those dates in the United States."
Does he realize that it would have still sold out
Yeah,
at
it
the Blue
did.
Note, for God's sakes?
Yeah,
Still-
it would have. And
still cool.
But
It's very cool.
he wanted to stay, and actually, that night was just. It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
There was everybody in that room knew every song word
So
for
let's
word.
recreate
that's
that here
amazing.
at Cooper's Landing. Let's find the next big thing. Because I live 5 minutes up the road.
All right,
I
so-
would like to just drive down here and see Foo Fighters are going back to the van tour right there. It could be great.
So back to it. You said you were starting this off to be with that local, but you might start delving into.
I've talked to some of my, especially during COVID, I talked to some of my agent friends, and I just said, look, if you guys need a gig for somebody, regional, I'd be more than happy. I'm outside, and I'd be more than happy to accommodate you to help things go.
types.
Yeah.
Well, one of them I had in mind was Nathaniel Rateliff, because he is a native Missourian. And I wasn't sure how much time he spent in Missouri. I think he's in Denver most of the time. But I just said, look, if you have anybody, it doesn't matter what level, I'd love to be able to help you guys out, because they were in a horrible way. I mean, it was really horrible what everybody went through in the music business.
Sure.
So, but nothing really came about. Everybody was afraid, and I totally understood that. And I don't think anything really major is going to happen until the fall for the most part. And then in 2022, watch out. They're going to be coming every angle.
What is the biggest you ever got for the smallest price, and you didn't know it? Like, you didn't know it. It wasn't somewhere you go, well, I saw this coming. But you booked somebody, and 6 months later, you're like, I'll be damn, they're huge.
I can pull out the chili. I still have the Chili Peppers contract, I believe, and I'm pretty sure I paid them like $2,500,
Which is amazing.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Now that's really early Chili Peppers. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
This isn't
that
like
was-
mid '90s Chili Peppers. This is
When
a
you
little
saw
earlier.
them that night, did you know what was happening?
Oh, I knew it was going on.
Well, they were just in socks, dude. Come on.
Yeah, they came
were
out
just in
socks.
tube socks, and that was it, man. That's how it works.
I knew what was going on, and Lindy, their manager, and I don't know if you've ever seen that. Remember when on whatever
Netflix or
cable,
something? Yeah.
where they have what happened to this band or what the history of this band.
Oh yeah.
Can't remember what they called it. But anyway, Lindy and I were standing at the back wall when they came out, and the whole room turned into a giant mosh pit, just like that.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a barricade. This is pre-barricade.
Yeah.
The stage was that far off the ground, so people were, right up against them. And
That's a show.
I like for the first 3 songs, I looked at Lindy. I go, I don't know if I can watch any more of this, because I had no security or anything up there, And my whole thing is I have to worry about stuff like that.
Of course you
know.
You have an insurance policy to think about, for God's sakes, when you own a venue.
I had to be the adult in the room, okay? And
Yeah.
believe
Isn't that
me,
the hardest part when you're somebody that owns a great venue, that you got to be an adult?
So wait a
during
second. Are you
Sometimes.
saying that you've never body surfed at your own nightclub?
Oh no, I would never do that. I
All right.
swear to you. I mean,
Wanna
I
make
always
sure.
I always stood in the perimeter, and I always told my security guys, I said, look, don't manhandle them, just toss them back in. You
Right,
know,
right.
don't.
Yeah.
You know, their kids are having fun, and you know, that's a battle scar when they walk out if they have whatever happened to them.
All right,
It's a battle
so
scar.
before we move on,
Sure.
one question, right? Because
Yeah.
all three of us have been involved in the music business. We've both been in radio for a long time, been at shows. You clearly have been at shows. Greatest show that surprised you at a small venue?
Okay.
We'll start with Richard because he had the venue.
Well, yeah, well, he's gonna kick our ass in this question.
Well,
Why would you do
probably
that?
not. Boy, you know, it's hard to pin that down. But I will say a very memorable moment for me was this group called the Pixies.
Oh, I know
You
the
familiar
Pixies.
with them?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So they were the support act for Soul Asylum at the old Blue Note. Okay. And we had sold maybe 200, 300 tickets. And I didn't like the first record that they put out. It was called Surfer Rosa. Okay. I think Gigantic, the song Gigantic, is on that record. And I go, you know, and everybody loves Surfer Rosa. Well, then Doolittle comes out right for that tour. And I get my hands on Doolittle right before that. And I walked into the room and I just went boom up
Yeah.
against the wall. Holy
They were amazing.
shit. Holy shit. You know, that was before cell phones, and that was before. And I ran into the back room of the Blue Note, which is a payphone, and I
Oh
just
my
started
God.
calling. I said, don't bother paying. I'll be at the door. Get the fuck down here.
I love that.
This is crazy. And it was. And then they grew, you know, immensely. And, and of course, the next time they came, it was, no fire marshals here. This right?
No fire.
No.
I mean, we probably had 750 people in the Blue Note.
Yeah.
You know, on the business loop.
Dang.
Sure.
And and those moments will, and there are many of those.
But that's when you
Okay.
look back on and you go, oh, my God.
You go.
All
That
right.
was something.
Mr.
Yeah.
Bradley?
I was gonna ask you to go next.
You want me
Not
to
that
go
mine
next?
is a topper.
I have one that I love.
All right, let me give mine. If yours is really good,
Uh-huh.
I'll give mine. And I don't think it's going to be quite the same thing. But I want to mention someone who's played at the Blue Note, I think multiple times, like
Okay.
3 or 4 times. Chuck Berry.
Oh yeah.
A really surprising concert was at the Old Glory Amphitheater in St. Louis. The crowd was extremely small, so we were able to not only sit up close and personal. Chuck said, "I'm not here for me. I'm here for you. Tell me something to play." And I stood out there and I was like, I don't know what to say. And somebody said, what is it? What was it? Get out of Denver? And he goes, okay. And I'm like, yeah, that one. That's what I yelled out. And he was taking requests from the audience, and I will never forget that. I ran into him later in the night and got to shake his hand and say hello to him. And that was really something. It was a small crowd
Right.
at kind of a bigger venue, but we were it was like a Thursday evening. And in St. Louis, Chuck Berry had been around for so long,
Yeah.
people took him for granted.
Yep.
And that to me was very special, one I'll never forget. Yes,
Nice.
sir.
That's a good one.
So being lucky enough to be in L.A. in radio in the late 90s, I got a friend of mine named Tommy Nass worked at the Album Network, an industry magazine that we all know. And this won't be PC. I'm telling you right now, don't write me letters. Don't email us at tomsworldbeertour@gmail.com. I'm just going to tell you exactly how the phone call went.
Okay.
He called me up one day. It's about 5 o'clock, and he said, hey, man, you're coming with me to a show tonight. There's a label show at the Troubadour. And it's this kid named Kid Rock, and he's got a midget, and you need to go with me. Well, I'm in, right? No one really knew who this guy was. We showed up at the Troubadour. Legendary Elton John broke there. Whole bunch of people broke there. And after the show, first of all, he killed it. He came in and just destroyed this. I mean, usually when you go to an industry show, everybody's like Richard is right now. They're like, all right, can we use these guys? Whatever.
Yeah.
No. This was a show.
Yeah.
He killed it. There's a bar upstairs at the Troubadour, and I was lucky enough to be up there with some friends. Now, for those of you that are watching this, I'm going to show you this picture. This is the picture of that night of a very young Kid Rock, my buddy Tommy Nast, who's in the black shirt, a friend of ours who wrote for a publication, and then some dude that's got a bunch of 12-gauge piercings. That's about 1997, 98 when that big album first came out.
Now that is good, but where the hell is the midget's down below the shot?
Yeah, you can't see that. You can't see
he's
him.
down
You can't-
below.
Joe C. You couldn't
Is
see
it
Joe
politically
C.
correct to say midget?
Not
the hell
anymore.
is-
No. It's the
He's a
F-
little person.
It's a bad word in that
It's a little
world. now.
person. Did he throw him around?
What is
that
the
night?
word now? Is it just
Little person.
I think it's
little
little
person.
person.
But anyway, the reason I bring that up is because we've all been fortunate enough to think back on these shows. We've been to big shows. I've been to big, huge
Yeah.
shows. But I will never forget going to an intimate label show at a legendary joint like the Troubadour. I think about Chili Peppers coming to the Blue Note here. Foo Fighters when Dave Grohl comes back out, and that tour was small. They were in a van.
Sure.
Last year was the 25th anniversary of that band, which also is in line with my radio career. We both came on the scene at the same time.
Right.
And now this year they're going to celebrate the 26th anniversary van tour.
But the thing is, Richard, you've been able to spot talent. And a couple of weeks ago, you and I were in an event where I was emceeing and you were one of the judges. And we had brand new talent up there. Well, I say brand new. There were some people up there that they've earned their chops, right? Am I right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we had some young performers and whatnot. There were about 5 finalists who came into a singing competition. What was it like for you to be? Do you picture them maybe getting a recording? Like what is it like for you?
You know, the two sisters were a no for me. I was just like, they were nice, but they
were nice. They were entertaining. They did an
Right.
acapella of a song that I could
Right.
not follow, by the way.
Yeah. The young gal, the first one on, though, really, I was like, whoa. First of all, how old was she?
She was 19. She
Was
had
she
a
that
guitar.
old? I thought she was. I just thought
And she
was
had a hauntingly innocent voice that echoed throughout the Blue Note,
Right.
and it was like, and so that caught you.
That caught me totally. That was like, I go, oh man, am I going to give her all 10s? And how do I do that from here? And I gave her like 10, 10, 9. And then it turned out that she was totally,
Yeah.
she was easily the winner, and she won.
And she did wind up
She
winning.
won, and there was no question in my mind, because it was like this young, very very sincere young lady that was, you could tell she was afraid, first time probably ever in a situation like that, but she was very poised, and she pulled it off, and I know I would have probably fallen out of my chair or ran off, or I'm not doing this, or probably wet my pants or something.
So in all your years of as a promoter and running these establishments, when you see her doing that, that's somebody.
Oh,
or
I
not?
felt good. Yeah, I felt real good about it.
When she's 24, 25, she's going to be leading houses.
Work on what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I had great people advising me, and I had people that worked in the club with me that were crazy about that was the great thing about the Blue Note. Everybody that worked there was so passionate about music. But then when I developed relationships with agents, there was a certain group of agents that I just hooked in with, and they would send me music all the time. They say, this is going to be out of hand, It was really pretty interesting how it all worked, It's different today. I mean, I think country radio is the only thing that really develops artists,
I think
so to
you're
speak.
right.
But I had so many people advising me, sending me music, people that worked around me, and it made it real easy for me.
I wonder without radio, because it's not there now for those up and coming in the other genres, like what is going to be the thing online? What websites, plural,
YouTube.
are going to
It's
be?
YouTube.
It's YouTube
right
is
now.
the big.
It's
that,
YouTube.
that the masses all find together, right? So they got to find
But
it sooner
TikTok.
or later.
I was going to say TikTok too.
Yeah.
TikTok's interesting, but it's very short form, so you get
Yeah.
a nice tease.
Yeah.
But honestly, if you think about in the last decade, even the last 15, 20 years, the amount of really popular pop stars that have started on YouTube because they can. They don't need a label at that point. When you can draw 1 million views, you don't need a label. The days of artist development and a label is kind of dead.
When did you sort of slide out of the? You were in the record,
I was in the radio business.
You're
for
the
a long
radio,
time.
okay.
But I know a lot of these record
right?
guys.
So I'd be curious because
A&R, the term A&R guy,
Right.
Artist relations.
Sure.
It's sort of gone now to some degree.
Well, that's how I wanted
Except
to
for
ask
country
you.
music.
You were in the middle of the radio business. You were right there in the middle, and Phil and I would have this conversation all the time. When Napster started.
Oh yeah, I remember.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
right.
And my first thought was, you ain't gonna stop this.
No.
This is something new. This is a way for artists to reach people, not having to deal with
Unless your
record
name
labels.
is Lars, and then then you hated it. But that's all right.
But yeah, right, poor Lars. But anyway, so I'd call Phil. I go, Phil, the labels are making a big mistake here. First of all, they start suing
Embrace
kids.
it.
They were suing kids that were using Napster. And the words exactly, embrace that technology. And for me and Phil, and Phil actually left his really lofty position at Capitol because he couldn't, for the they couldn't convince them to understand.
And
that
he was at
this
the,
is the
he
way.
was at the
Get
Mecca.
out in
He
front of
was
it and
He's
right
at the
there.
Mecca. If you've ever been to Los Angeles,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So one of the radio stations I worked at was in the shadow of the Capitol Records building.
Right.
We actually did a stunt promotion show. I've actually been on the roof
Have you?
of Capitol Records doing a radio broadcast. I mean, these are Mecca buildings,
Yeah.
right? That
Oh,
have
yeah.
done everything.
Yeah.
It's completely blown up.
Yeah.
And if you're not out touring now
Yeah.
as an artist, you're probably not making money
not making
unless you're
money.
smart enough, like a band like Foo Fighters,
Yeah.
where you own the masters,
Yeah.
quote unquote. You now anymore. Look at what we do. There's you and me and our art director, right?
Yeah,
we can
who's
put
unpaid,
on. We can
like
put.
we
He's
are.
totally unpaid. We can put on a beautiful production. The cameras are nice. They're not crazy. It's not super expensive. It's a good looking shot. We don't need a lot of help to do it. Artists are the same way. If you look at Billie Eilish, her and her brother Phineas
in their bedroom.
Yeah,
with
produced the whole damn
computers
thing.
put out one of the biggest albums
Yeah.
that we've ever seen.
Which is amazing that it took that long for someone to rewrite how it's done. Because I look at that and I'm like, you could have done that damn near 20 years ago.
Could have.
We've been producing amazing stuff in little
Yeah.
tiny rooms because of
But
digital.
the labels wouldn't let you do it because there was
I
a
know.
way. There was an A&R guy who told you where
Yeah.
to be, when to be. I'm going to call somebody like Richard. We're going to work this out. We're going to do this tour. We're going to hit these 15 cities of this size venue. Then we're going to move to this size venue.
So then there's another
Gone.
question which begs, which is, what does a person consider to be success in this industry now? Like, what are they going to consider to be success? If I get to tour 6 months a year,
Yeah.
if I get to put out new music, if I have
If I don't have to have a
million-
second job,
Yeah, and if I have a million
That's
people
it.
following me,
Yeah.
and if I make a few $100,000 a year, I think I've pretty much succeeded as a musical artist.
I mean, listen,
and I own all the music.
Yeah, in some way. So I'm in the play-by-play business, right? We all
Right,
know this
right.
college play. I tell young college broadcasters, I say, listen, you're going to live in to be a success in this industry, you're going to live in a nice neighborhood. The neighbor on this side of you is going to be the general manager at Best Buy, making good money. The guy on this side has his own contracting company. The only difference between the three of you is that you have the cooler job.
Is that they got to work for a living, and
You're
you're
not going to be
broadcasting
Vince
sports.
Scully. You're not going to be some of these guys, right? But you're going to make a living doing what you love. You're not going to get rich. You're not going to get famous, but you're not going to have to work for a living.
Can I ask you a really weird question about
Please.
earlier in
Oh,
your life?
Yeah.
Careful, Richard.
Were
I know
you-
these questions.
Did you, around college age, were you sharing an apartment with 3 other guys?
Actually, college days, I was actually, when I was in school, I was still living at home because I went to school in the area. I grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
And after I had finished 2 years, I got my
Wait,
associate's
isn't that
degree.
where the Dunder Mifflin Paper Company
That's
is?
exactly
All right,
where
just
it
checking.
is.
All right.
I said to my folks, I said, I don't want to go back to school. I don't want to finish. I don't know what the fuck I want to do. I do know I don't want to waste your money. I don't want to waste my money. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time.
Did they say thank you?
No, they were upset. They wanted me to
They were
finish.
upset.
They wanted me to finish. And then I just upped and left.
Yeah.
Saved a bunch of money. I came here, and but what the
Who were you? Did you
Oh,
share?
but here's the deal. Back in those days, there was a bunch of guys from Philadelphia that were going to school in Scranton, University of Scranton, and they had an apartment in the Hills section, 3 blocks from my house. And after I ate dinner with Mom and Dad, I'll say, see you later. I'm going over to their place, and they'd have big bags of weed, and they'd have a refrigerator full of beer, and they had great taste in music. So, and we just sit there and.
How was
listen
their
to
taste in weed? Was it all right?
Oh,
All right.
these guys were mainliners.
It was good stuff.
These guys were mainliners from Philadelphia, so they came from good families,
stock.
good stock. So yeah, it'd be interesting. We would just go over there and hang out, and I mean, it was great.
But not over here. Not an apartment in this area.
Oh, when I got here, then yes, of course, it was myself and Phil and Kevin Walsh, and we had records.
Was it
stacked
it was
all
the
over
3 of you?
And we'd have a stray every now and then coming in to stay with us.
Because I find that to be an amazing collection. Kevin Walsh is the probably most, I don't know, the deepest knowledge base of music in the Columbia area.
You'd have fun with Kevin have you ever met him?
I don't know that I
He's
have,
off
but I'd like
he's-
to.
he's-
Let's
he's-
do this. At some point down the road, I'd like to do a follow-up podcast.
Well, you
Here.
can go on for days with this
I
guy.
would like to get. like to do a trip down memory lane.
All right,
Yeah.
let's plan on doing that.
Yeah.
Cooper's Landing, meanwhile, is your baby, and congratulations on not having a worldwide pandemic this year, or a flood
Or
on
a
the
flood.
Missouri River.
Wait, but
behind
aren't the
us.
cicadas coming? Holy
Look,
shit! Here we
Not
go.
here, not here.
or locust, whatever.
Locust,
you know,
one of the-
that's a thing, right?
Right.
But no, here's the thing about right here at Cooper's. You know, I see things that could be really cool, and I'm having fun
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm once again surrounded by fun people.
Well, if you want more consultants, I mean, listen, we're never without an opinion, for God's sakes.
Well-
We love this stuff. And by the way, can I just compliment the fact that there's an industry now, I just saw this the other day, that's bringing out replica tour shirts. This is not one.
Oh,
This
yeah,
is,
yeah.
This is Aerosmith Harley Davidson.
Yeah.
That Marty Stewart shirt that you're wearing, for those of you that can see it, you didn't just go buy that as a replica. Let's be honest. You probably have an entire closet full of amazing tour shirts.
It's frightening. I have
I
the
love
original Chili Peppers. I have all the work that
Tell me you got some Foo Fighter stuff. sitting there.
I don't have any Foo Fighters.
Richard.
Because they never did. They never made it to our club level. They never, when they toured, they did Kansas City, St. Louis.
Right.
But I have, oh my God, I have so many. Wayne Coyne from the Flaming Lips.
Yeah.
You know, those guys were prolific making
Yeah.
their own shirts.
Do you have your own closet for all these T-shirts?
I have a
Right.
ton of them. Yeah, tons.
By the way, she
Tons
does
of
use
them.
Vaseline. In case you were wondering, she uses Vaseline.
You didn't happen to be in Columbia when they did the show down on 9th
No,
Street.
14 years I've been here.
It-
It hasn't been the last 14 years, I don't think.
Well,
Maybe.
yeah, it was, and
Close.
you know, it was great.
maybe I
because-
missed it.
Did you see this?
No,
Tom?
I did not.
So I
Did
mean,
did people bring jars of Vaseline?
well, no, they have. You know, he comes out
Yeah.
in the bubble or whatever. You know,
Absolutely.
but before the show starts, okay, I didn't know this. Pete that was helping me with booking shows. He came up, he goes, "Okay, I just want you to know, you know what's happening at the beginning." And I'm like, "Oh no, what?" I mean, there's, you know, because I've known Wayne. I've known Wayne. He was working at Long John Silver's when he started playing the flute, and
So
that's the
great.
truth. You know, they would drive up and set up everything by themselves. You know, they had all these crazy lighting and all this kind of stuff. And I don't think Wayne even smoked pot, to be honest with you.
No, he's born that way.
Yeah, he's just born that
He's
way.
nuts.
A really great person. But so they have this giant stage with a big screen, right? And Pete goes to me about an hour before the show. He goes, "He's going to come out. He's going to walk through a vagina." And I go, "What?" He goes, "The entire screen is a vagina." And he pulls
Wow.
the stage
Wow.
vagina and walks out. And
I'm born again.
oh my God,
I mean, the
was,
Beastie Boys had an inflatable dick.
right.
He walks
It-
out through a vagina. What do you want? I mean, we
it
don't
was-
have that anymore.
it was-
Bring it back. Bring it back.
You know, and I mean, the show was unbelievable.
They're
It was-
great.
They were great. And I just remember at the end of the night, there was a Mizzou football game that night, too. We had still sold it out.
Wow.
And right about 10 minutes left, like just streaks of lightning
Oh
going
God.
through the sky. And Wayne's looking at everything, goes, "Okay, folks, this is it."
That's right.
They finish it up, and
done.
they go, "Everybody get safe. We're out
Yeah,
here."
I'm not going out this way.
Thank
Oh,
you,
my God.
Richard King. Incredible discussions
That was
today.
great.
Right.
We could actually start a new podcast that's just the Richard King podcast.
I think we could have a subset of the Tom's World Beer Tour podcast
just on this.
where it's like stories from Richard.
yeah, I like
Well,
it. Maybe every season we come out summer, and then we
I
come
think
back
we
in the
have to.
fall and right here we do a winter.
It's my
broadcast
favorite
right here.
location because I literally live like 5-6 miles up the road. It's
Do you really?
fantastic.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Do something about that.
No, do
Okay.
you know where the roadblock is right now?
Yeah.
Literally turning into my neighborhood, which is now the detour. Don't get me
Yeah,
started.
no, he's
Don't
all
get me-
he's all
People in
kinds of pissed
Wisconsin
off.
right now are like, what are you talking about? There's some assholes going through my
I
neighborhood
just
right
went
now.
through your entire neighborhood coming down
You
here
can-
thinking I'm going to find the shortcut.
You can
need
come
to tell
right
me.
in, make the first
Which
make
one?
the first right, and come to my house. I'm on that
Yeah,
first
don't-
cul-de-sac.
don't-
Is
Come
that
by.
the Cascades?
Yeah.
Yeah, going to the Cascades.
So I
take the
can
first
find a
one.
way around the Cascades.
I'm going to talk to you about it when these cameras are off because I don't want
Okay.
every other
No,
Yahoo
we
to
Right.
get through.
We can't tell everybody you can get
It
through
was
there.
on. I saw something on Facebook where they said, "Here's a way to sneak
Yeah,
through
so did
here."
KMIZ,
And
and I
then
called the
and-
newsroom and I let them have it the other night.
I clicked on it and it was like it was removed
Yeah.
from Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
No. I threw around my VP of Broadcast Operations title to KMIZ and said, "You got to stop this."
And
shit."
they backed down from it. They backed down.
So, anyways,
All right,
All right,
guys.
hey, we
thank
get to
you,
fly.
Richard,
Don't
thank
go
you so
anywhere
much.
though. Don't
I'm
go
not
too
going.
far.
I'm not going anywhere.
We're gonna fly a drone here in a second.
I'm not going anywhere at all.
We're gonna fly a drone.
Thank you,
so-
Richard. Thank you.
So I took Richard off shot. I'm
all
gonna
right. So
steal
we're
a
gonna
camera.
we're setting the drone up now.
We are.
I keep thinking that the drone operator is going to leave and go somewhere, but he's just going to stand
No,
right
he's
here.
literally going to stand
He
right
doesn't have to
there.
go anywhere.
Yeah, he's
Richard.
the handsome older
Yeah, you want to
male
come back
model.
on and talk? Yeah, yes. If you
Yeah, he
can
can
you do
talk.
that while you're operating the drone?
You won't see him on camera, but he'll talk. All right,
go
so
ahead,
I'm
put
going to
that-
move
put
this
that back
over
on.
here, and this is going to go over here.
So Chris Kendrick is joining us again
Yep.
on the microphone. So on the
Oh.
podcast, you're going to hear him,
Yep.
and on the video, you won't see him.
No. I got to do a little bit of work. So go ahead and vamp or talk to Chris or
Well,
whatever you want
Chris,
to do.
where's your drone
I've
sitting?
got it sitting on a picnic table over here.
It's kind of over by itself.
Yeah, just sitting.
So it's facing the river.
yeah, you can see on the
Yeah.
TV screen.
It's in a van down by the river.
And so it's going to take off. You're going to go straight out over the water. Is that
Well,
right?
I'm going to go straight up first.
God, I was getting myself comfortable. Now I got
Were
to
you?
change my
All right.
position on this bench. Okay. All right.
All right.
So
There we go. That's all right. I had
we're
this
at
cord
Cooper's
right.
Landing with this podcast, having a hell of a great afternoon, and I've set them out of beer, so that's gonna. Oh, I've got some more over here. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, are you on there yet, Tom?
I'm almost there.
Okay.
I'm just trying to frame it up.
Well,
oh,
you
there
can
it is.
you can start flying, Chris, if you're
All right.
ready.
So right now, there we go. There's the there's you and I and the drone. So if you're watching,
Yeah.
we're watching Chris's screen. Now Chris has a controller in his hand that has the screen in it. So he's actually watching. Well, he's probably going to cheat and watch. The
Oh,
big
it's
screen.
taken off. It's taken off.
Uh-oh. There
Okay,
it goes.
you got a
All
cord
right,
of
so I'm going to
lights.
take us. I'm going to go just to that camera, and then you can describe what we're seeing.
And all you're doing is going straight up with the drone right now.
Yeah, I typically
Look at that.
kind of like to get some altitude up so I don't run into any trees or
Don't
power
want that to
lines.
happen. Don't
So
want that.
that's kind of why I launched over there at the table because I had
Look
a
at
clear,
that.
Yeah.
clear shot above. So
Bradley, come over
And
here.
those of you that are technical people, listen. I can't get the drone feed into our software, so I'm literally putting a camera on a TV. So the lines that you're seeing running through, just deal with it. Don't send me any emails about it, for God's sake.
So
We
this
worked
is our-
hard on
This is our
Monday.
first drone shot.
Yeah.
For Tom's World Beer Tour.
Look at that shot, though. So now we're above the Missouri River. We can see, which would be the west side of the river, the trees on the west side
Yeah,
of the river,
yeah.
I guess.
Yep. So I'm going to point it straight down. So there's the beautiful Missouri.
Yeah, the Missouri generally
All
runs.
I see is it looks like chocolate milk to me.
It runs from west to east,
Mm-hmm.
but on this particular bend, it's almost like you're looking across west
Right,
at this
right, right,
time.
right.
So,
Looks like I'm about over the other bank right now.
I love the
you
fact
can go
that
closer over
I
there
know that
to
you
the
are.
TV if
I
you
know
wanna
that
see
you
it
are line
closer.
of sight for your license. You can see where your drone is. I can't see your drone, but you, of course, can.
Yep.
Oh, that's
Okay,
great! Now
now-
it's spinning it
Turning
around.
so I'm looking.
turn
You
the
got to
camera.
watch our video feed on this thing to see it.
Which is another reason to go to Tom's World Beer Tour on Facebook or YouTube. On Facebook, click follow. Do not forget to click follow.
Chris, that shot looks like it's still, but it's just maintaining its hovering height.
Yeah, this particular line of drones are very, very stable.
So you
That's
are
amazing.
at 250
yeah, so now I'm
feet
lowering,
above.
Right. So now I'm lowering it down.
All right, so I need to take. I'm going
And
to
is
take
that
our scroll
that's
off the
above
bottom.
average terrain, right?
Yep, yep.
A ground level, yes.
So let me see if I can angle this just enough so you can see on the bottom. Oh, there we go.
Oh, that is really a cool
There
shot.
we go. Okay, so now on the bottom of the screen, see, there you go. See the altitude there?
Yeah.
Yep,
On
I'm
the
sorry.
bottom of the screen?
Yeah, 185.
There we go, 185.
And I'm going to turn it around here, so we'll pan
Beautiful.
around.
Are you panning towards us now?
I am panning towards us.
All right.
So
all
And
right.
so
there-
are you then going to fly in toward us?
I will.
Oh,
There's the boat.
There's the boat.
I didn't get a chance to ask Richard, like, whose boat is that?
I don't know.
It looks like Steamboat Willie's boat. You know, back when Mickey
Yeah.
Mouse was not Mickey
Yeah.
Mouse yet? Sort of looks like that.
God, I can't believe it's not stationary. It's nothing is moving.
No, it's fantastic.
It looks like it's sitting on a tower. All right, so zoom. Or
So
not
now
zoom,
he's
but
facing east,
now he's facing east,
which
and
is
he's-
where we are. We're on the
he's going
east
to come in
bank.
toward our podcast.
We're on the east bank of the Missouri River. We're sitting at some picnic tables.
If you're listening to the podcast, this is the most, well, maybe not the most, but one of the most boring things we've ever done.
I mean, from
But if you're
an audio
watching it-
standpoint, absolutely.
Yeah, but what happened to the screen?
Uh-oh.
I don't know.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Come
Uh-oh.
back. It's
Oh,
in
there it
the
is.
river.
It's in the river.
Jim says it's in the river.
What? Once again, you can hear it in the background. If you listened to last week's show and you saw our buddy
We're
Jim
not letting him
Kimball,
on.
I know he's
All right,
back
you're
there.
coming in
He's
toward
behind me.
Cooper's Landing.
There it is.
This is so cool.
There you go. Now, where are we at?
Yeah, where are we?
Oh, we're under that tree.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking at the screen,
So
we're
you
under the
can-
tree to the right.
Oh, I see the
TV
drone.
right.
Can you see me waving? Can you see me?
Oh, there's the drone. Yeah, I see it right there.
Bradley, do you see me waving? Yes. You
Yeah,
do? Okay.
Yeah. Do you
As
see
my
the drone
grandson,
flying?
little man Bradley, is with us tonight.
That's right.
At
He's
Cooper's Landing.
zooming in a little bit so we can get a better shot.
That's cool.
Look at that.
That is great.
And you're what, halfway out? You're maybe a
No,
third.
no,
Maybe a
it's-
third of the way. I see it over
You
there.
may be a quarter of the way out.
Yeah.
And you're what, about 60 feet in the air?
I am.
What's your average height? What's your height
Well, it's
above,
actually it's 20 feet right now.
above the
Well,
Yeah,
it's-
he's
above the
only-
water?
Yeah, 15.7 right there.
No, that's above the ground. That's not above the water.
You're probably right. It's above the ground. Yeah,
That's higher than that above the water.
right. So I'm going to lower it down.
I know
Yep,
because I can
yep.
dunk on a 10-foot rail.
So there we are.
Okay, no, I
so
can't.
so now in the screen you can see there's a green umbrella that we tried to keep the sun out of your face. Didn't do a good job.
This is so remarkable.
And
It's
now
so
we can-
stupid. I can't believe I'm loving this so much.
Now we can all wave. There's
Hey,
the
give them
drone.
double pistols over here at the drone.
Hey, there we go.
Do your radio hello. What's going on here?
What's my radio hello? What
yeah,
does that mean?
What's
that's
that?
it.
Oh,
Oh, flip it off.
hey Bradley, look at the drone. Look at the drone. It's really cool. I know it's great.
Now you just did that over my grandson's head.
Yeah, but no one sees him.
I don't like that.
I mean, they're seeing him now. Look at that. Look
There
how
you go.
close he is.
The drone is scary. The drone is scary.
It
That's
is frightening.
two red lights
have-
looking at you like eyes.
I have done some photo shoots over families and where I've flown the drone right
Hold
over.
on, I'm
them,
gonna take a
and they
shot
do.
of the drone looking at us.
and they do have a little bit of problem with that. They kind of get a little.
Oh, my
And I
God.
Yeah, I
understand
would-
that. You
I
got
would
the
imagine
saying
so.
flying right over your head.
Completely
Good
understand.
gracious.
You know, because if you get right underneath of it, there's significant amount of wind coming
Wow.
out of it. It's kind of crazy.
God, that is really
the
cool.
problem with the drone is it looks like it's its own
Here,
life
before
form.
taking off, just do a little spin around right now where I
Yeah.
can see to the left. That's right.
To the left.
Uh-oh.
Keep going. Keep going in that direction.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
As I want to see up the river with the light glinting off the water
All right.
as it starts to.
Oh my
turning
gosh. There's
around.
all sorts of bad things happening over here.
What's that sound?
I don't know.
That is so. The drones have better motion or obstacle detection in the front and back. So there's two sensors in the front, and two sensors in the back. On the side, and there's two sensors underneath of it. On the side, there's only one sensor, so it does a better job of detecting obstacles forward and back.
Why didn't it start beeping when Tom flipped it off? Because that would have been.
It's not an obstacle. It's mature enough
I think
to
somebody
handle
flips
it.
you off. I
Yeah.
think it's
No,
an
the
obstacle.
drones are mature enough to handle it.
I've been doing this. That's
Yeah.
all the way through.
Totally fine.
Wow, that is.
So there you go. That's this is how we're gonna end.
Wow, that is really cool. I can't believe how much I like watching that damn drone fly.
They're fun.
It's impressive.
We forgot to put the goggles on you.
No,
Oh,
I don't
no.
want to put the
He was
goggles
gonna fall
on.
off the table.
I will fall off the table.
Hey, good show.
I can't handle that kind of height. All
Good
right,
shot.
we're going to start wrapping it up here as I'm running out of beer anyway, so that is
You
going
wanna
to
fly it?
something happens.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Jim Kimball, could you give me a spare beer over there? I'd appreciate that. Be a beautiful thing. Oh, wow. Thank you, Richard King, for joining us. Thanks for letting us come out here
Okay,
and
so
storm into the Cooper's
this-
Landing area.
let
Thank
me-
you, Chris, for everything you've done for
This
us.
has been a podcast story. Tom's World Beer Tour. For future episodes, download and subscribe where you get your podcast, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeart, and Amazon Music. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Or send us an email at tomsworldbeertour@gmail.com. All content property of Tom's World Beer Tour, copyright 2021. No beer was harmed during this production. Only consumed.